Quilting, and I am here today because we are working on We Are All in This Together quilted table runner, and I'm going to show you how I am quilting this today. So this is just a really fun pattern. You can see the back. I've already started quilting it, and I wanted to just kind of show you the basic quilting techniques of how I am actually quilting this. So let's get started. I'm just really excited. Okay, the first thing that I did is on this last week, we went ahead and we constructed our entire, all of our people in our houses here. So this is called the We Are All in This Together table runner. How are you guys doing? Let me know where you guys are from. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah. And hi Lynette, how are you? It is a beautiful day. We had a great storm last night and lots of water, but the sun is shining today. And Corey came home, and hi Liz. Oh my gosh, I gotta show you something. I got something in the mail from Liz. Look at this, you guys. Is this not so exciting? I thought maybe I'd wait for a moment before people come on to open this. This is so exciting. So I think Liz sent me, because we're doing this as a community quilt along, and Liz in Canada sent me her a people block and a little house block. So we're gonna have to see what this looks like. So in just a minute, I'm gonna open this and we're gonna check out her blocks, Liz Boyce's blocks from Canada. These are the first ones I've received, and I'm so excited. And Liz, we were messaging this morning. She's like, "Did you get my blocks yet?" And I did get the blocks. So she made, because we're making a community quilt. It came in the mail last night, and it was in my mailbox this morning when I woke up. So anyways, I was so excited. So anyways, so we'll open this in just 1 minute, you guys. It's just so fun to get happy mail. I ship you guys happy mail all the time with all the fun packages and things like that. And I just love being able to get some little happy mail back and things like that. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and open this, all right? It's so exciting. So Liz Boyce in Canada, Quebec, Canada. Liz speaks French. We were in a room together, and then she had to take a phone call in the Facebook room of the Everyone Can Quilt group. And she had to take a phone call, and she's there speaking so much French. Oh my gosh, look at how cute this card is. It has a little, a quilt with a little puppy on there. Liz trains German Shepherds, and she has shown them, and she's just amazing. So, but she's kind of retired. Oh my goodness. Okay, it says, "Hi Deanna, hope these are okay for the community. We are all in this together quilt. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. I vote quilt show and then give it to someone who needs it. Have a great day, Liz." Okay, very fun. Okay, let's look at these. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at Liz's block. Where did you find this fabric, Liz? Oh my goodness. Wait, let me go back so I can see everybody's comments. Where did you find this? Where did you find this fabric? So this is her house block. I love the fabrics that you chose, Liz. Look at all those beautiful fabrics. Oh my goodness. Okay, where did you get this, Liz? This fabric with the face on it. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, and then look at her. Oh, she made another one with that little face on there. Oh my gosh, Liz, these are absolutely wonderful. It's Thundering in South Wales for Jane, and she got it last year, this fabric with the faces on it, at a quilt show. Well, did you ever imagine when you were at a quilt show last year that we would be having a pandemic, and then you would make these little blocks for a community quilt for We Are All in This Together? Who would have known? Who would have known? So I'm so excited because our community quilt is going to be amazing. And I love all the different fabrics and all the different things that people are making, and I can't wait to see more. Okay, you guys, I kind of want to like hang this up. I really do. You guys, this is really a lot of fun. Okay, so if you want to, let me on Facebook put that live so you guys know, most of you guys know where to grab the pattern and everything like that if you want to do it, or if you just want to see what my website is and what I do and all those kinds of things. So that's available. Let me go back where I can see the chats. Okay, so let's get busy. Oh my gosh, I want to hang these up. I want to put them right here. I'm going to put them right here on my sewing machine as we're sewing today. And, oh, I love this card. Okay, you guys, how can we mark these, maybe with a pen with everybody's name on there? You know, Liz Boyce and Liz Boyce. What do you think? I think we should mark the blocks and where they came from somehow. Please give me your ideas on that. Okay, those are just so precious. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this aside. Here is what we have as the table runner. I went ahead and I lined mine with with some batting, and I left extra batting and a little bit of the backing around my quilt. I don't like to butt it up too close because the fabric just kind of moves. It has movement as it's going along. I decided to go ahead and quilt my quilt. I don't want to unthread my needle. To quilt my quilt with this thread right here, it's a cucumber color. So I was torn. Where's my other thread color? I was thinking about this color. I was thinking about this color. So one thing that I do whenever I am getting ready to quilt on something is I take the thread across the fabric, and you really want to use the same thread color as the top and bottom. Does anybody change their thread color? A lot of even long armors will not change their thread colors. So anyways, but I just kind of lay the thread over it, and then I look at what the colors are. We could have gone with like a white thread. You know, I just kind of lay it on top of there and then just kind of analyze and just say, well, you know, I don't know. I just felt like I wanted the people and the houses to be kind of the star of the show. So I went with a lighter thread color. It's just like a really light cucumber. I think any kind of shade would have worked. Where's my top of, oh, here it is, to put my thread back. Okay, so that's what I went with. And let's go ahead and move to the overhead camera so you guys can see what this thread color looks like here. So you can see it looks pretty good. So you can see it's just kind of blending right in there, and it's not screaming out anything. And you can I love these, Liz. I'm so excited. But I think it looks great. Okay, and then so what I did is I went around the quilt and I stitched around this center panel. Okay, I stitched it all the way around, so I've got some things that are foundation kind of pieced in there. I have gone back and now I'm stitching right along here, and you can see I went and stitched in the ditch, and I'm just stitching in the ditch. Okay, I'm trying to, yes, Bobby, if you say, hopefully you got a message about where you can find the pattern. So, but right here you can stitch in the ditch, and I'm just stitching in the ditch around the little guy here, or gal, who knows, right? So, and I'm going to continue to stitch over here, but let me go ahead and show you how I do this. I actually set up the sewing machine camera so you guys can see a little better. So let's go ahead and bring it over to the sewing machine camera, and hopefully that just transitions really well. Yes, it did. Okay, great. So you guys can see me right here, and I'm going to show you a few other things. So one thing that I did already do, and let me move this cord so it's not so distracting. One thing that I already did is I took off my 1/4 inch foot. Okay, so whenever I quilt, I have a 1/4 inch foot on there. If you don't have a 1/4 inch foot, then you just mark with maybe some washi tape on your sewing machine where your 1/4 foot seam is. So I've done that, so I'm going to put away my 1/4 inch foot. Okay, then I put on my walking foot. So you can see this whole contraption right here is my walking foot. It's looking really good there, and I've got it all screwed on. I also changed my needle. So I changed my needle to a fresh needle, and I'm just using a jeans denim needle. And my hands are so filthy. I'm sorry, you guys. I couldn't resist weeding some weeds. this morning, and I'm gonna put this shank away here so I don't lose that. Oh, that's not gonna fit there, but you know, because you have to take that off whenever you bring that back. So let me actually zoom this camera out a little bit so you guys can see a little bit more. Okay, so then right here, I've got my screwdriver handy because when I have my walking foot on, I can't open this up all the way. So in case I need to unscrew anything or do anything, I have my screwdriver handy. Okay, the other thing that we could be using is the guide that goes to the walking foot. It slides right back here on the back of the guide, and you can measure then how much you are stitching along and doing. So we'll look and see if we do that today, all right? So, but we're gonna maybe use that piece a little bit later. So let's go ahead and get started. So once again, I went and I stitched in the ditch all the way around. And I wanted to make this practical so that you guys can actually, do this on your domestic sewing machines. So you don't have to send this out. And I'm just kind of giving you guys an idea of some things to do. So let's go ahead and let's stitch in the ditch around this, it's kind of like a pinkish red. And I am going to start right here, which is kind of where I ended last. And I'm going to put my needle down. So I'm going to push my button on my sewing machine. The one feature that I would want on a sewing machine is needle down, needle up. If you don't have that feature, you're going to turn it over on the side of your sewing machine. Now, I am going to, let me make sure I unplugged my foot. Hold on. Let me plug back in my pedal. Yes. Hold on. Okay, I cannot see that from the side. Let me go ahead and move over here and plug this in. How do you guys keep it so that your pedal doesn't slip? Here we go. Okay, go in there. Silly thing. Okay, there we go. Got it in. What do you guys use so that your pedal doesn't slip around as you're sewing? Now, I am going to stitch in place right here. Instead of using the back stitch, I'm going to just hold this and stitch in place. That will knot my thread. So now I'm going to just come up around, and I strategically safety pinned my quilt with my pins kind of in the center of my people because I didn't want to have to take my pins in and out constantly. Okay, so now I've got this excess right here. I'm going to roll it up on the sewing machine, and as I'm moving this around, I'm going to store this right in here. So there's my extra fabric right there. Let me see if I can widen that angle just a little bit more for you guys. Sorry. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing right here. And you can see some of my little things over on my computer. This is where all the computer stuff is that makes these videos work. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this down. And I'm just stitching in place. You can see a little bit better now that that went out. And I'm just stitching right along, like stitching in the ditch. But I'm actually stitching a little bit more on my background fabric because I don't want to distract too much on my people. Okay, I'm going to pull this back through and just stitch around my little people. And it goes pretty well, and it goes fast. So I'm going to just shove that back in, do another little stitch. I feel like I'm getting too close to this pin in the head, so I'm going to remove that. But I always have my needle in the down position. So I don't know. Tell me how you guys, how do you guys do some of your quilting tips on your domestic sewing machines? I'm pivoting it again, coming around, keeping my needle down. So needle up and needle down is definitely a feature I use on my sewing machine. And if I had any feature that I wanted in a sewing machine, it would be a straight stitch and it would be needle up, needle down. For me as a quilter, those are my two priorities. But, you know, I have quilted, you know, on many different machines, and you can make anything work. So, you know, if you don't have needle up, needle down, then you just kind of look at the timing of your machine, kind of close that down so it's coming. And I'm going to bring this around. Now, the other thing we can do is just keep going around. I could finish off this little red hot pink person right there. But I'm going to keep going. Oh, look at Liz's blocks. Oh, they're so cute. I love seeing you guys' personalities coming in all the blocks. So I'm actually going to continue down, and I'm going to stitch along that top edge, and then I'll come back around the bottom. All right, so I'm going to come around, and that'll just kind of keep things a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and pivot this, stop right there, and come back around. And I'm going to come over to the house. So, and let me get that pin out that's on the head of the little person. So before I start safety pinning my quilt, I try to plan out what my quilting is going to be like, and to get an idea, because then I strategically try to place those pins where I know I probably won't be running into them. So let's go ahead and bring this. Look, we're getting enough over here on this side. And then whenever I choose a backing fabric for my quilting, I always, I need to get some latex gloves, Lynette, for my weeding, and Liz suggested that. And I need to put it out front. Luke's bus came kind of late today, and as we were waiting out there, I just couldn't resist pulling some weeds, which I didn't have very many, so that was why. But it's funny because I just keep going. Okay, I'm going to take out another safety pin, and we're going to be right next to the house, and I'm going to show you how I'm quilting around the house. Now, what ideas do you guys have for the rest of this quilt? How should we quilt the borders? What should we do to quilt the borders here? Tell me your ideas. So we can stitch in the ditch around the people, which I think is kind of fun. It's kind of like all of us. So I'm going to stop right there, and I'm now to the house. So I'm going to come over. There we go. I'm going to come up the house, and right now I'll just stitch in the ditch around the house. And this is plenty of quilting, but of course we can quilt more. What is the needle up and down a foot pedal? No, this is a button right here on my sewing machine. So whenever I buy a sewing machine, they might have that feature built in. Some sewing machines don't, but when I used my mother's sewing machine for probably, I don't know, it was probably 30 years old, and I used it for probably 10 years, I want to say, and it just died one day. And this was with my ex-husband, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't get this to work. And I took it to get serviced, and it didn't fix it either. I mean, it was just probably 40 years old by that time. And he says, well, what kind of sewing machine do you want? And I had no idea about any kind of sewing machines. I said, the only thing I want is needle up, needle down, and a nice straight stitch. That's the only things that are important to me. Okay, so I'm going to pull off here because I want to go ahead and show you a couple other different little things. So let me go ahead and finish right here. When I finish stitching, I am going to hold this in place. And I'm going to, so instead of back stitching right here, I'm going to hold this in place and just kind of stitch just in the same spot, so then my thread is tied, okay? And it's knotted, and it's not going to come unthreaded. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So you can see, look at how cute this looks. All of these little people, which is all of us, and the little house, and I've gone around. But I can't resist. I'm going to stitch in the ditch around the house, around the heart of the window that's sitting in the house, like how all of our little heart quilts have been sitting in our windows. And I'm going to just keep going. So I'm going to stitch just a little bit more. I'm probably, check out those little people. I'm going to leave my little people as is. And I think they look great. I will definitely come in here, and I'm going to stitch around these little hearts and do some stitching there. So Liz's blocks fell down. So you guys, if you want to, send me a block of a house block and a people block. And we're making a community quilt. And what ideas, did you guys have ideas for how to put, I want to put like Liz's name. Maybe we'll put it on one leg, Liz Boys Canada. and because we are all in this together around the globe, you guys. And I just think it's so fun. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let's go ahead and switch to the overhead camera. And let's talk about what we're going to quilt for the rest of this. So I want to quilt these sides. So you've got the basic idea of how I'm going to quilt this. I will continue to keep quilting and I will show you my work. But let's talk about the sides of the quilt now. I'm trying to do things that are practical that you guys will be able to do on your own sewing machines. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to stitch down here a straight stitch. All right. And this is when it comes in handy. Uh-oh, where did my little, oh, there it is. Here's my little guide. So I'm going to slide my guide into the back of the walking foot of the sewing machine. In order for mine to stay put where I want it to stay put, I do have to kind of tape mine, and I always keep this washi tape kind of close to my sewing machine. Painter's tape, anything will work. You know what I mean? Yeah, a thread cutter's really nice, Lynette. I totally agree with you because my little blade, it's fallen down inside there and I don't want to take my machine in and service it right now. So I'm going to put this right back here, and you can always put it on either side. But let's go ahead and let's switch to the camera on the sewing machine real fast. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So there is a little hole in the back of the walking foot, and most walking feet have this. And you can go ahead and slide your guide into that, all right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this here, and I am going to and this is if you want straight lines, okay? But we're gonna get organic here. All right, here, let me grab that other thread. We're gonna get organic here, and we're going to I'm gonna show you how to do this. But I want this to look organic and not so perfect that you guys can feel like you guys can do it yourselves. Okay, so let's just do a stitch. And this guide, you can see this little bar can fall up and down, but I'm going to just tape it because mine has just gotten kind of loose. Oh, what weight and type of batting is best to use? I recommend using an 80-20 weight of batting. So we want it to be reasonable. So Jane is asking this question. We want this to be reasonable for quilting on your domestic machine. This is the batting I always used. You guys share what battings you use. I don't use a high loft kind of polyester batting. This is 80-20, which means it's 80% wool and 20% cotton. So it means you're going to have some shrinkage, with that wool part of it. You're going to have some warmth, particularly if you're looking for a quilt that you want to be warm. But then you're going to have it where it's nice and thin and it's workable and with your quilt. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my needle down. And this time I'm going to actually use my arm to put that needle down because I want that needle to go down right where that seam is right there, okay? I want that needle to go right down there because I kind of want to do lines going the other direction on that. So with my arm, I placed that needle. I'm going to stitch along with this bar in this seam right here. So we're going to just use this, but once again, I'm going to hold this in place instead of back stitching and having a whole bunch of heavy back stitching right there. I'm going to hold that in place, and then my stitching is secure. The walking foot helps your quilt move along with the bottom feed dogs, and it gives you like top feed dogs, okay? So let's go ahead and just bring this along the length of this table runner. I did not use a spray basting. I was just trying to put, I don't know, I guess I could have used one. I really want to make my own homemade spray base. Has anybody done that? Yes. So Joe, I think that's a medium poly black batting is good, and I've got a really big roll of it. Sometimes if I really want a quilt to have some texture to it, I will combine batting. So I'll use an 80-20 maybe with a wool batting, or I'll use an 80-20 maybe with a poly batting. So if I want to layer a batting, a quilt, depending on the look and the effect that I want from my quilt, I might layer battings too. It just depends on what I'm looking for. When I first started quilting, I lived in Galveston, Texas, and it was pretty hot there, so my kids definitely did not need really heavy batted quilts because it was definitely hot, and I wanted them to use these quilts. I had made them all the time. So you can see I'm getting a really good straight consistent line right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take out that pin as I'm moving along. And now we've got this pretty well basted along here. You can baste your quilts. Okay, now I'm getting back to this seam. Okay, this is where I seamed in this right here. I don't know why, but I kind of want to do lines going this way. Maybe I shouldn't do that to myself. So I'm going to, when I get to that seam, I'm going to just hold it in space. Hold it in place, and then take that out. Okay, so now, the next time I go down, I can go ahead and measure this however I want to. I could measure it along this edge, whatever I want to do. So let's go ahead and do this again. And I'm going to measure my line to kind of go down along with the edge of the quilt. So let's do one more line right here. Here we go. One more line. And then I'm going to do kind of a swivel line. So let's do one more of these. But this goes really fast. So because I don't want the lines, and some of this can be considered matchstick quilting, where you're just doing lines upon lines, which I love that look. You guys have seen me do it before. But I am going to put a curve in there because I don't want the pressure of everything to be perfect, right? So we want to be consistently inconsistent. So let's go ahead and bring these along. So consistently inconsistent. All right, I'm gonna hold that in place. There we go. Well, I didn't need to necessarily do that because now I'm going to do the swirl one, okay? The one that goes back and forth. So I'm gonna take off my guide real fast. And why don't we start maybe at that spot right there, hold it in place, and we're going to swivel this, okay? So let's go ahead and just give it a really nice look. And I'm gonna pivot it back and forth. Because you know what? I think that this pandemic, which is kind of what this quilt is about, is our global thing. There's been lots of ups and downs and things that have gone out of stock and things that have come back into stock. And, you know, I don't know. It's been kind of a wave, hasn't it? So I think putting a little bit of a wave and something organic in there, because remember, we haven't been able to be in control here, right? So we don't want everything to look just absolutely perfect. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Can you see that? Doesn't that look pretty? I want to do one more so you guys can see what that looks like. So it's amazing how you can put in just some straight lines, but then add not a planned wave, but just add yourself a nice wave in there. You could mirror the wave that you just did. You could cross over it so it looks like a ribbon. Let me cross over this one. Bring this down. It's just fun to be organic and to allow yourself to just be creative and not be so precise about everything. Here we go. So let's go ahead and bring this down. And okay, so we just want to be consistently inconsistent. So let's go ahead and look over here. So we can see we've got two lines here with two waves. And I think that looks great. And you can see sometimes I was mirroring the wave, but right here I crossed over the wave. So you can see where it almost looks like a ribbon of thread. Does that make sense? So Jo, she uses painter's tape to help get her quilting straight. Yes, very good idea. What foot am I using? I'm using a walking foot on my sewing machine, and I can show you what that looks like. I can take it off in just a second instead of my 1/4 inch foot. So you can see it looks great, and it's got some organic nature to it. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I am going to actually do some additional straight line quilting on here where I'm not going to try to be straight. I'm going to just run down this without the guide or without any tape and without any marking. And I'm going to just run down here several different times so it just has that quilted look. Now, I also don't pre-wash my fabric. And then I want to do the same thing over here on the end. I don't know, that's just what I was thinking of to do. But remember, we don't have to quilt it too much, because if you have a good quality batting and you want to read your instructions on your batting, you want your batting to be about 4 inches between each batting thing, at the bare minimum for my batting. So 4 inches is about the length, the width of my knuckles there. So we've got plenty of room in there. I don't need to over quilt this, but sometimes I do like to quilt it a little bit more. So pretty fun. Let's go ahead and go back to the front camera. So let's see here. Let me go push the right button. So it goes back to the front camera. There we are. So I'm Deanna from Stitches Quilting, and I am so excited to be making this. Let me show you. I moved these over here. But I've got lots of people sewn. This is how I'm organizing my people. So look at all the different colors. So what I do is when I'm getting ready to sew all of my different people, I know I want the pillow. I know I want the table runner. I know I want the quilt. So I'm making like 4 different colors of navy blue. So when I'm cutting fabric, I'm cutting I do layers of 2 for each thing. I'm just using the same background fabric, but you can mix up your background fabric, which I think is going to be so fun. And our community quilt is going to have that with this right here. So everybody is mailing me some blocks. You could mail just people, you could mail a house, you could mail whatever you want to mail. These are from Liz Boyce in Canada, and I know there's some other ones coming. I can't wait to see it all. But this is how I get everything set up, is I just have my whole stack of different colors that I know I'm going to want. When I am cutting those, I actually stack probably 4 different colors together. The navy blue, the red, and I don't know, maybe this aqua. I stacked all together and I cut them all at the same time. So that makes my cutting go a lot faster. So 2 layers each, you can maybe do 3 colors and cut your fabrics. And if you cut them in 1 inch and 2 inch lengths of strips, you can get your other pieces done very quickly. This is for my house blocks. So I've got everything set up for the various house blocks. Once again, I want a different roof and different things like that. And these are for the little heart blocks. So I've got everything set up in stations for cutting. I've put this on a design board, but you can just use maybe a cookie sheet with some flannel or felt fabric laying on top of it. And then that way these things don't move around too much. And I can just kind of stack them on top of each other and set it aside. So, and then do some more of my piecing. And I love to just string feed, string feed, string feed. So it's so much fun. Anyways, okay, you guys. It's just so wonderful. Let's see, Lynette, I have a little extended foot that has a 1 inch guide for straight lines. Really? Ooh, will you take a picture of that and post it in the Everyone Can Quilt group? I'm so curious what that looks like. And Denise, you haven't tried quilting yet, but it's always been something that's fascinated you. You know what? Just do it. I've got some beginner things that you can work on if you want to. And it is just such a beautiful hobby. And you make things that become keepsakes. And remember, on this keepsake, we're going to need to label this, that this is our COVID quilt, or we made this during the pandemic, and whatever else that we need to do. So it actually becomes an heirloom and something that's cherished. It's definitely something that has made my kids feel very loved by me. And I can share you some really funny stories with that too. So anyways, I've always done it with my kids where they pick out their fabrics and I sew in front of them, and it's not a big surprise, so they can see the amount of work I put into it and how much I love them, and I'm willing to work that hard for something for them. So anyways, you guys, I love you tons. Let's all get busy with our little things, or just have good vibes in your soul today. And, you know, just go out, enjoy the outdoors if you can. Corey ran some errands this morning and he came back with wood planks. Our wood fence kind of shrunk a little bit so the dogs could kind of see through the cracks and bark at our neighbors, and we feel like it's bothering our neighbors, especially with everybody being home in their houses now. So we bought some new slats to offset them. So I was screwing on wood slats this morning, and it took me a little bit. Yes, fluffy clouds and all sorts of things would be so fun to put up here. And you could definitely do some free motion quilting. I am definitely trying, and we can experiment with some of that, but I'm definitely trying to get you so that you feel like you can do this on your domestic machine. So, and you don't have to necessarily pay for it to go out to a long arm quilter, or whatever you want to do is great. So anyways, okay, so be happy, enjoy yourself, go out, get some vitamin D, do a few things in your house, and just enjoy yourself and enjoy the spirit and the energy that is out there in the world and that is positive. And we'll try to stay in a positive space so that we can then share that with our own families and with things that are happening. So anyways, I'm going to keep quilting away, and I'll be anxious to see what you guys are sewing, and I can't wait to see everything you're posting in the Facebook Everyone Can Quilt group. If you need anything, you can find me in there at Stitches Quilting. Be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you know when I'm going live. We'll see you guys later, and thanks, Liz. I can't wait to see the other blocks coming. Love you. Bye, guys.